When you work in Word documents, you may find that one of the tools that you just really love to use is track changes. Now, what this does is it allows you to keep your original document, and yet you can make suggestions about what to delete, what to move, words to add or change, and as a result, you can have a much better finished copy than when you started with your original text. What's really nice is you can even save that document in versions if you'd like, but more importantly, you can share that document with someone else that you trust who will proofread and edit and give you suggestions. And if they use track changes, then you can see all of the suggestions that they've made when you get that file back. And then you can choose to accept the changes or suggestions, and you can decide to reject them and keep your original language. Hi, I'm Terry, one of the Consumer Technology Specialists for Mid-Continent Public Library, and let's look at Word and track changes. Looking at our first example today, we can sort of get the idea that this is supposed to be a thank you note, but it's a little brief and perhaps some more should be added to it. And so whether this is just my rough draft or whether someone else has typed this up and given it to me so that I can give suggestions for how to really make this thank you note special, well, we have 2 lines with very minimal sentences here. So what we can do is, before we make changes, turn on track changes in 2 different places. One is we can come down to the status bar, which is above the taskbar, and as I go to the left here, it even says page 1 of 1, for example, and it has some other options that are just sort of interesting when you think about, well, how did they even get here on that status bar? But page 1 of 1 is something that a lot of people need to know. Or how many words? I can get a word count. Well, that's really fascinating. But on the right here, it says, I have the track changes option available, but it is turned off. So how do I turn it on? Well, all I do is come down to track changes and click on it, and it will go from off to on. Isn't that simple? Well, now, let's say that for whatever reason you don't see the status bar or you don't like using it. Well, there is another way. We can go up to the tabs above the ribbon, and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 7 or 8 tabs in to the right, you have the Review tab. And the Review tab is where we need to go to find track changes. So let me click on Review. And on the right-hand side, we have 2 groups that we really want to look at. First of all, we have the tracking group that has the Track Changes button, and it has some other options for how you want to see those track changes. And then to the right of that, you have the Changes group that lets you accept or reject changes as they've been proposed. So let's first of all look at that tracking group and the Track Changes button. And Track Changes right now has a gray background because we turned it on at the status bar. Well, but if I want to turn it off, I can click on it and turn it off, just like the option down on the status bar. And then let's look at what those track changes choices are. So I can click on the drop down, and it says, well, I can track the changes that everyone has made for this particular document, or I can just track my own personal changes. Seems to me that almost everyone chooses for everyone. To the right of that, we have different ways of showing how those changes are going to appear. So let's go ahead and type in some changes, and we'll kind of take the default here of all markup and then talk about how that might display. So first of all, it seems to me that if this is a thank you note, we need to say some sort of a salutation. I've clicked to the left of thank you for the money. I'm going to press enter, and then go up a line. And as soon as I pressed enter, did you notice that we got this vertical line in the left margin, which simply means you have some changes that you are tracking. So, dear Aunt Jane. Now this is in a different color, and if you have more than one person collaborating on this document, they would have a different color associated with them. So this is also color-coded. Well, this is an insertion, so it's showing up as red and underlined for me. And hovering my mouse over it, it even says what I have added. Okay, so thank you for the money. I think maybe we need to insert something here too. So thank you for the gift card to my favorite restaurant. And again, it's in red and underlined because I've inserted text, but I want to delete money, so I'm going to press my delete key here. And as soon as I press the delete key, all of a sudden my page expands, and see how it says, oh, you have deleted. And as I delete, it adds more information on the right. So here, I deleted the word money. And it even says who the person is, because remember, this could be something that several people are adding their input. Well, I'm going to buy something with it. I'm thinking that should be a little more specific as well. So let's see, I'm going to, and then I'm going to delete all of that. Ooh, buy something with it. I'm going to take my friends for a great meal. And again, the underline. And then maybe I should say something like, I hope you're doing well. So far we have kept track of insertions and deletions. In the tracking group, right now we're looking at all markup, and when I click the drop down, it says instead of all markup, we could choose simple markup. Now this is quite a difference here. I can click simple markup. We still get that vertical line. It's even in red because I'm the one who made that change, but it doesn't tell me where the changes were or what was suggested. But if I rest my mouse on that line, I get a little note that says, well, show track changes. Click on it, and it expands it out to a more readable kind of view. Well, besides all markup, we could say, yeah, I don't even want to see markup. And sometimes when you're working on a large document and you have people who are adding markup, they're adding suggestions, but still you need to be able to kind of type and think, you might decide to turn that markup off, although you still want to keep track changes on. And that is just up to you. And then, of course, we might want to just see the original if we want to do that. So we have all sorts of different views for how we can see this particular document. Well, I'm going to go with all markup. Now below that, show markup. How do we want to see it? So we can click the drop down. And right now we've said insertions and deletions and formatting. Let's come back over to Dear Aunt Jane and add some formatting. Let's just make it bold. And now over on the right, it says that I formatted that as bold. So that's keeping track of that formatting. And the balloons are simply what we see at the right. Now, it might be that you don't like that expanded view to the right of the main page, so you might choose Show All Revisions in Line. And so look at the difference. I can see money, that was the original word, and it's crossed out, but I can also see where I added in more text. Same thing here. Buy something with it is crossed out, but my new insertion is still there. And then, of course, where I just added a line is also there. Well, with show markup, it also says that we could, with those balloons, show only formatting. Well, let's click on that. And now it doesn't show my insertions or deletions. It only shows the formatting. And sometimes with a really big document, formatting by itself can be a huge challenge. And so you may choose to only see the formatting changes. We can also go to the reviewing pane and click on it. And here's another way that we can see those suggestions. So with the reviewing pane vertical, we can see that I've made 7 revisions and what they are: insertions, deletions, formatting, and then it shows me specifically what I made. So instead of balloons, although they're still on, I can also see this pane. I can also see, instead of a vertical pane, a horizontal pane. Now, this takes up about half of your screen, so sometimes I think people don't like that quite as well, just because it takes up so much space. But again, it tells you all of the different revisions, and it even gives you the date and time that you've made those revisions. So it really keeps track well of that reviewing pane. But in fact, we don't really want either one of those, so we're going to turn this off. And that is really our tracking group. Now let's finish this letter, and so it's an ant, so I should probably say love, and then your favorite. And again, I have just simply inserted more text, so it just shows up in red and an underline. But now, let's say that I've saved this, and whether this is for me personally or whether I give this document to someone, they're going to look at it and they're going to say, okay, well, thank you for all those suggestions. I can see that you've made a lot, because over here in the left margin, I have all this straight line, which means, boy, did you make a lot of changes. And then over on the right, it even shows me some of the changes that you have suggested. So then, whoever this is, me or the person I give it to, I need to go over to the Changes group, and I can either, as I click on the Accept button, I can either accept it and then move to the next change, whatever that was, or I simply accept this change and stay there and don't go any farther in the document, or I just say, you know what, they're all good, I'll just accept all of them, or I accept all of the changes and even go one step farther and turn off track changes. Well, we'll simply do some accepting, so we'll accept and move to the next. So here, I've accepted this, and then where's the next? Well, I think it's actually maybe over here. So let's see, let's go accept and move to the next. Yes, and so I got rid of a balloon over on the right, and so now it's going down to the next line. Well, let's accept one more and move to the next, so we'll accept that. And again, it says, well, I deleted money. Do I want to accept that or reject it? Well, I think we'll accept that as well. Now, this next change is, well, I'm going to take my friends for a great meal instead of buy something with it. Let's say that for whatever reason, we think that's not right. I can reject this and move to the next. So now it says, I'm going to buy something with it. And I could even at this point say, and take my friends for a great meal. Or I can come into reject and I can say, nope, I'm going to reject this change, or I can reject and move to next. So I've now kept, I'm going to buy something with it. So as I go through, I can accept and reject each change that I've made, and then at the end, I simply save my document, and I have this lovely new document because of track changes. Now again, we were looking at all markup. What if I look at the original? I can still get back to my original document if I don't want to see any markup. Oh, look at that. That took me to all the changes. And if I want to simply see the simple markup, again, it's fairly simple, but without the balloons. So a lot of good things can come from track changes. Simply let you see your insertions, your deletions, your moves, the different things that you have done to make your document better. To learn even more, be sure to go to mymcpl.org/online learning for such great resources as Universal Class, LinkedIn Learning, Learning Express Library, and Udemy Business. We also premiere new videos every Wednesday and Friday at 1 o'clock. If you miss a video premiere, you'll still be able to find it later when it's convenient for you. You can find us on Facebook at MCPL 360, and you can find us on YouTube by going to our MCPL MO channel.